in general. At first, we should know what sports meaning. What sports definition is a question for you. You have to answer what sports meaning.
A sport is mean a movement by the body and moving the muscle of the body and these things I think everybody want to do just to spend time and to spend energy.
Thank you. Includes all forms of competitive and sports definition is physical activities or games which through casual or organized participations aim to use, maintain or improving physical ability, skills while providing enjoyment for participants. What's sports important for us or what sports benefit? I want to talk about the health part by 5 points. First point, improving cardiovascular. Cardiovascular is a part of a human's body and it's heart's working and heart's health. It means our bodies is manage your weight. You can manage your weight and for having a fit body. Sports. Another point and fourth point is improving joint flexibility and range of motion. The last one is reduce your stress. If you do sports, it means your stress will be relieved. After that benefit, in the answer for some questions, which is that what's the hardest, easiest, the safest, the most dangerous sports in the world. First, I want to talk about the hardest one. Most of researchers said eight gymnastics is the hardest sports for doing. I think that gymnastics maybe it's most of kinds of gymnastics. And after eight gymnastics, we have martial arts, boxing, wrestling. I think they are like the same. After the hardest sports, some sports which is at the easiest sports, the easiest sports in the world. If you believe it or not, running can be the best and the easiest sports for doing. After running, we have, as you know, we have soccer for all kinds of age. After the easiest sports in the world, I want to tell you the safest sports for doing. According to most of researchers said volleyball will be the safest exercise, the safest sport for doing because whenever and wherever you want you can do it, but you cannot do it with yourself, you can do it with your friends. After the safest sports, I want to talk about the most dangerous sports, but I want to tell you data about it. First, base jumping is the hardest, the most dangerous sports in the world. Base jumping per 100,000 persons, 47.17 of them will be died by base jumping. It means odds of dying is 1 in 2,370. We have swimming. Swimming at the second place. Per 100,000 persons, 1.77 of them will be died. It means 1 in 56,587. We have cycling. Cycling after swimming at the third place, per 100,000 persons play cycling, 1.8 of them will be died. It means odds of dying is 1 person in 92 and 325 will be died. After the most dangerous sports, about three of sports. First, I want to talk about football, basketball, tennis. I want to tell you some answer of some questions about that game. First, I want to talk about how many players play that game around the world, how many players play that game in one match, and how big is their stadium or their arena. First, I want to talk about football. How many players play that game? According to FIFA, there are 265 million people play that game as a player, and as you know, there are 11 players play for each team in one match. If it's the football stadium, the width of the stadium is 48 meters, and the length of the stadium is 110 meters. After the football, if you want to know how big is the stadium, you can multiply. After football, I have to tell you some information about basketball. How many players play that game around the world? There are 450 million people play that game around the world. It is more than football's player, according to FIBA. And after that, there are 5 to 7 players play that game in one match. It will be changed for a kind of basketball for another game. For example, we have NBA, American basketball. There are 7 players play that game for each team in one. After players, we have to talk about how big basketball's arena. If it's basketball's arena, the width of the basketball is 15 meters. And the length of the stadium, the arena, is 28 meters. After basketball, I want to talk about tennis. How many players play that game around the world? 10 million persons play that game as a player. It's less than some sports, but it counts for tennis player. After that, as you know, there are 2 players play in one match versus each other. After that, I want to talk about how big is their stadium, but I don't get any information about it. I'm sorry, I don't have any information. My presentation was finished, but I want to talk about another thing that makes people busy. They cannot do sports, they cannot have a good meal, a good health, and his player-unknown's battleground is PUBG. As you know, we called it, but there are 200 million people play that game, and there are 30 million people daily users for that game, and it's really much for that game. After that, there are so many polite players play that game at least 2 hours, and then they can do sport, they can have a good meal or a good health. But there are so many others, they play that game for 8 hours, even 10 hours. It is so bad for meals. They cannot do any sport, and they cannot have good sleeping. And I have finished it. Thank you all for listening to me and watching to me. I hope you get information in my presentation and you enjoy it. If you have any question, I will answer.
Thank you so much for this. Do you have any comments or any question? Now, I have a question. What kinds of sports do you usually do as yourself? Because as we talked about before, actions speak louder than words.
Of course. Actually, but just I do running, but if I have a chance or anything, I want to do soccer as football.
Thank you so much. Don't you have any comments? Thank you so much. Actually, you have a very big, memory, or actually you can say your memory is, you can say is a smart one, because you can actually save all the informations, all the numbers. And of course, maybe the numbers are not so easy for saving in your mind. But actually, you save it all of the numbers. I think actually, and I'm surprised for that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course, you have presented very well. Thanks a lot.